That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
They couldn't keep me company as humans, so they kept me company as animals, said Lupin. A werewolf is only a danger to people. They sneaked out of the castle every month under James's invisibility cloak. They transformed. Peter, as the smallest, could slip beneath the willow's attacking branches and touch the knot that freezes it. They would then slip down the tunnel and join me. Under their influence, I became less dangerous. My body was still wolfish, but my mind seemed to become less so while I was with them. What's up, potheads? Welcome to the Restricted Section, a show in which a bunch of nerds with potty mouths reread the series for the umpteenth time and discuss the way its themes and its story have stayed with a generation into adulthood. Thanks for listening. If you haven't done the reading, don't worry. We did it for you. Here's what we're talking about today. Chapter 18. Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. In this chapter, Professor Lupin shares his secret past that involves Sirius Black, Peter Pettigrew, and Harry Potter's own father, James. Welcome to the Restricted Section. It's me, your host, Christina, and Haley is also here.
Hi.
Sound off.
Hi. Sound off.
Brooke, there you are.
I am here. That is correct.
Well done. Well done. And I'm super stoked that today our very special guest is Jade Gebbie, a friend of the pod, comedian, and Harry Potter fan. How's it going, Jade?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How is everyone?
Doing great. Doing
Good.
just freaking fine.
Good.
Absolutely mid-level fine.
Peachy keen. We are
Just
peachy keen.
Lukewarm.
You started really optimistic and then you kind of lost it halfway through that. I'm feeling fantastically fine.
I just came back from a bachelorette party weekend.
Oh.
/ hen do for Jade's
Thank you for
edification.
translating.
I know that word from that book, In a Dark, Dark Wood. It's like a hen party gone super wrong.
Oh, dear.
That sounds good.
Yeah, we were just like camping out in the woods.
That's lovely.
Oh, nice.
It was delightful. We went to Maryland, which, you know, who knew has nature, has
Yeah,
nice nature.
It's true. One of my favorite hiking trails is in Maryland, but so barely. It overlooks the Potomac, so.
Where in the 10 square feet of Maryland do they have nature?
No, it was like out in the chunkier bit towards West Virginia.
Okay.
Maryland is a really long state, but it's like horizontal long. Jade is staring at us like, wow, what riveting conversation.
Is everybody in the world not super fascinated by the geography of the Mid-Atlantic?
I mean, now I'm hooked on it. All I know about them is, all we have about Maryland is the little cookies, like the little biscuits. That's like the thing.
What?
No?
What?
I really... Okay, so in the UK, these really popular chocolate chip cookies or biscuits, I would call them. Again, I'm translating now. And they're called Maryland cookies. And I assume they were from Maryland, but... or Maryland.
There's an easy way to figure out the answer to this. Do they contain Old Bay?
Which is a spice that maybe other people...
It's a spice blend for seafood.
That Marylanders notoriously put on everything, and when I say everything, really? I do mean everything.
I once bought a lottery ticket that was Old Bay scented scratch and sniff.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And Jay, just be super clear, I'm reading the UK edition of this book, so you don't have to translate for me.
Oh, brilliant. I wonder how different, like, it is.
There's definitely some differences that I've noticed just because I've read the American editions probably like 15 times. So just like little things. The one thing that really caught us up, and I think, Brooke, you were on this episode, maybe you, Haley, was when instead of studying, they talk about revising.
Oh, yeah.
That's one that really, I'm like, that's like something you do to like an essay.
It's not what that means!
Yeah, like revising for their exams and stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. So, Jade, tell us a little bit about your very hairy history. How did you get involved with the books, the movies?
Yes, so I mean, I've been this book, which I'll hold up for you. Obviously, I know a podcast, so I won't be able to see it, but this book is like, I remember with this particular one, with Prisoner of Azkaban, so the first 2 books I got into when the second book had come out, and I got both together. And then this one, by this point, I was so into Harry Potter that I went to the shop when the book came out to like queue up with a little school friend of mine. It's 1999. I checked today was the first edition date, so I was 9 coming on to 10. So I was like queued up, and I was really jealous because I was just like dressed normally, but there were other people in the queue in like capes and stuff like that, and I was I want to be wearing the capes and everything. So I was like a fan since pretty much the beginning, and then just like absolutely was hooked, and like every single book like went to the shop or got delivered. It got to the point where nearer to the end I got them delivered to the house so that I could just like read them,
just start reading there.
Yeah, exactly. Just read like the whole weekend, just head down so there's no spoilers, so no one can ruin it for me. The films, I mean, I have seen all the films, obviously, but I'm not as connected to them as I am with the books.
Yeah.
And that's probably the same for most people. But no, I do like them, but
they're like fun to watch, but it's like you got to take them. It's just for entertainment value.
Exactly. And I think the thing, and probably all you have found, and loads of your guests has found, is because we're such big fans, it misses so much out, and like so much of like the backstories and the reason why, and then it's like, I just end up feeling like, oh, well, no one knows why this has happened. No one's got the context.
Oh, you mean like this entire chapter that gets skipped in the movie?
yeah, exactly.
Like this whole backstory explanation that changes everything.
Why explain things when you can scream?
It's not like the most like action-y exciting chapter, but like, damn, it's important.
Yeah, it's pretty pivotal. Story. Yeah, exactly.
Real quick, I want to out Jade because she has a really bomb Harry Potter tattoo.
Ooh.
Yeah. So when we were in New Zealand, which is where me and Brooke met, we found this really, and we went to the same. Yeah, we went to the same tattoo parlor to get our tattoos. I think you were like a week after when I got mine. We didn't go at the same time, but we went pretty close to each other. And I got this really big tattoo. It's really cool, actually. We'll send you a picture because I have to take like my trousers off to show you.
Gotcha.
So I'll send you a photo of it. But it's like I'm really into sort of like naval pin-up-y kind of tattoo. Ooh. So it's not a pin-up, not like a pin-up of Harry Potter or anything. Imagine.
Well, you've lost me.
It's like a cool, like quite brightly coloured. It's pretty big. It's got like.
Do you mind if we post the picture on our Instagram account?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got like wand and it's got like snitch. It's quite.
That's so
it's pretty
cool.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's cool to some people. It's very very lame to other people. Yeah. And when I got it done, I fainted while I got it done. So I really was there for the cause.
You've never been more connected to Harry in your life than when you fainted.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's awesome. I have a super basic Harry Potter tattoo, so I always admire. I just have the Deathly Hallows, and it's like every other bitch who's ever slightly liked Harry Potter has the exact same tattoo. But
it's a good one, though, because it's like, it's a classic, and it's like, it's like a brilliant symbol, and it looks so good, so it's like, why not?
Yes, exactly. So Jade, what Hogwarts house do you identify most with?
Well, I always want it to be Hufflepuff, but I think the reality is maybe like Ravenclaw, maybe like a mix of both. Like I like obviously Gryffindor's good, but I just know I wouldn't be brave enough to be in Gryffindor. And I just think like Hufflepuffs seem really cool, and like fun, and they're kind and they're sweet, but it's one of those things where more recently I've been thinking, okay, what are you really? And I think Ravenclaw. I don't know if Brooke might think I'm one or the other.
I think that like you have all of the like inherent attributes of a Hufflepuff, but like deep down, too many people annoy you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not as chill as a Hufflepuff.
There's Hufflepuffs who aren't chill. I'm a Hufflepuff who's not often very chill.
So you're a Hufflepuff. What is everyone?
But the others are Ravenclaws.
Deeply Ravenclaw.
Like classic Ravenclaw.
Haley, I don't know why I just always think about when we were talking about King Boomy from Avatar and you were like, he's weird in the way that Ravenclaws are weird. And now every time anyone's like Ravenclaw, I'm like, yeah, she's weird in the way that Ravenclaws are weird.
Am I wrong?
No, you are for sure. You and your fish tank. That's like the most Ravenclaw shit, dude.
Don't get me fucking started about the fish tank. I will bore everyone for 20 minutes.
Haley's been delicately and slowly pH balancing a fish tank for like a month now.
I think it's been long. It's been like a hot minute.
It's been about 2 months at this point.
There's no fish in it.
And what stage is it now? Is it close to getting
I've got the
fish,
pH balanced. She got me started. I'm sorry, guys. I've got the pH balanced. I won't go into the details of how, but it involved crushed coral in a sock. And so now that I've got that figured out, I've got a good, like, my ammonia is down and my nitrites are up, and now I just need to wait for those to all turn into nitrates, and then I can get a fish.
When we ask Haley how she's doing and she says, I'm fine, this is what she really wants to say.
You should do like a spin-off fish tank podcast as well.
Fish talk.
Dude, no, I made the mistake of discovering like YouTube videos about like intense aquascapers. Like these guys who go like no filter and like they just create like an aquatic terrarium with like shrimp and stuff.
No filter like a cigarette.
No filter like an actual filter, or no filter like these guys go ham, like raw, unfiltered fish all day.
I mean, both. Like there's no physical filter in the water, so it's just they're just letting the plants do the work. And then they'll play like Debussy over it, and I'll just sit there for 8 minutes like, I'll never be this good.
Haley, you will be that good. I have nothing but faith in you.
Okay.
Anyway.
Harry Potter.
Quick. So today we're talking about Prisoner of Azkaban, Chapter 18, Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs.
You mean Lupin explains it all?
Lupin explains it all? Yeah, basically it's Lupin giving the equivalent of like a villain's monologue, but like he's not a villain. He's just telling the whole story of the Marauders for like approximately 5 pages. It's a pretty short chapter.
And it changes everything, though.
It changes everything. So super weird that they skipped it in the movies.
I got very, like, end of a heist movie vibes, because it's, like, Lupin and Hermione basically squaring off, and you can almost feel the, like, thumping soundtrack behind as they, like, go back and show you all the sleight of hand. It's like, you would think that I wasn't a werewolf, but actually, it's like they turn around and it's like...
It's like Now You See Me, or like those kind of films when they like reveal how it was all done.
Right, exactly.
So the frustrating thing to me at the beginning of this chapter is that, I mean, pretty much throughout this whole, like, 6-chapter-long climax, Sirius Black is trying to, like, take action, and Lupin is trying to explain themselves first. And here's the thing is, you're like, Sirius Black, calm down. But, like, he's right, and him not being able to just kill Peter Pettigrew immediately is like the worst thing that happens to this book series.
Truly. Yeah. And, God, just... But Sirius is doing himself no favors through this, like, this whole sequence of events. He's just like, only one will die tonight. Like, just explain the bare minimum before you do anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's definitely acting like a dog who has been stray for so long that he's, like, really misbehaving, you know?
It's just like, think about who these people think you are, and then think about the words that you're saying and how you sound like a fucking supervillain, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's laying it on thick.
And I do think as well, like, when I was rereading it, I was like, whoa, he seems like I mean, obviously, like you say, he has been, like, a dog for, like, ages, and he has been in prison for ages before that. But he just seems like such a different character, like, completely. And it's like, come on, like you say, just explain, like, just one sentence would help, rather than being all, like, mysterious about it all.
Yes. Okay, so finally Sirius Black is like, all right, tell them. Ron, Harry, and Hermione are like, they're just not ready to hear anything. Like, they're like, it doesn't matter. You're a murderer and you're a werewolf. I'm not trying to hear reason. Yeah, there's a lot of screaming. I mean, Lupin just kind of starts, I don't know. it's hard to like describe what happens in this chapter because he's explaining everything. So he starts. Oh, go ahead.
The most nonsense thing that I kept coming back to in this chapter is like every now and then we just do like cutaways to like, and what are the other characters doing while this is happening? And like Ron is just sitting there being clawed to death by a rat for this entire conversation. It's like Scabbers was biting his face, and I'm just like I'm just imagining Lupin having this very calm, like, and then you see, next we had to, and Ron is just like aggressively face fighting a rat.
And that's like it's so crazy to me that Scabbers is still fighting at this time because like, what is he gonna get out of Ron's grasp and escape the room? You know what I mean? Like, well,
because he's small enough that, like, if he can just get free, he can probably, like, get in a hole that no one else can get in.
Which he tries to do in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like go into a mouse hole. I hate that bit in the movie, actually. Like, I hate it, but, like, it's really frustrating to me that, like, when as far as I remember it, he, like, goes and then suddenly changes into the creepiest character. That actor, I really like him, but oh my god, he makes my skin crawl. He makes me feel sick just looking at him.
The thing that irritates me about that scene in the film is that they're like, okay, in order to perform this spell on this person that we think is a criminal who's been in hiding for 12 years, like the first step, just let go of him. We don't want him to be restrained in any way. I want this to be like target practice. Let him run around the room a little bit. It's like, there's no need for that. For sure, keep a grasp on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Lupin's talking. Lupin's like, okay, like, it's Peter Pettigrew. I saw it on the map, right? And the Marauders map never lies. And everyone's like, they're crazy. Like, Ron, Harry, and Hermione, there's some line about they make eye contact, and it's like, they're all crazy.
You mentioned about the Marauders map there, and, like, two things came into my mind when I was reading that. One is, like, why it doesn't really... I mean, obviously, it is a bit of a weird thing for them to say, but Harry has seen, like, Peter Pettigrew on the map. So the fact that, like, he's instantly, like, they're mad when it's like, okay, he could question it. And also the other thing, which is, like, an obvious thing to say, and everyone says this, but why did the twins never think this... A guy who's supposed to be dead, but also a middle-aged man is, like, sleeping with our brother every night, like... I
think they just didn't know who he was, but like I would have investigated my younger brother shacking up with any human because he's 13, exactly. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Especially like a name that they haven't heard because
I'm just picturing the twins having like a very intense private conversation about do we or do we not confront our brother about being gay and like tell him that we know and that it's okay and we love him, or do we just like let him come out in his own time?
The thing with that is that
would be so nice.
we keep talking about how the twins must be so accepting to let their brother be gay, but it's like, to me, the issue here is that he's 13 and really should be sharing a bed every night with nobody.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the fact that it's with a guy, it's the fact that he's
so
13. And also, because they know that he's not in his year, it's also like, who is this person that we've never heard about?
That's the thing. I went to a really small high school, and like, Hogwarts, we have had some recent debate over how many kids are there at any given time. But, like, let's throw out the high number that we get from the book, which is, like, 400, assuming approximately 200 kids per house. You know everyone at that school. Like, there's especially not a surprise amongst them. There's no reason why they should be seeing this name and being like, huh, ain't that funny? Unless, and here's going to be my pet theory, all right? I'm submitting a new fan theory.
Okay.
We don't know for certain that our animals refer to themselves the same way that we refer to them. We give them names, but I believe that animals have their own names for themselves, and I am assuming that they're like, well, we call him Scabbers, but clearly he thinks of himself as Peter Pettigrew, and that's why he displays that way on the map.
A related theory that someone's brought up before on the cast, can't remember who, so sorry, is that, like, Scabbers belonged to Percy before he belonged to Ron, and so someone raised the theory that maybe Percy named Scabbers something really pretentious and similar, because Scabbers isn't like a Percy name, that's like a Ron name. Yeah. So maybe the twins were like, Peter Pettigrew, I think that's what stupid Percy named his stupid rat, I don't know, something like that.
And also as well, that's actually makes so much sense because of the kind of person Percy is and because of the kind of person everyone thought Peter Pettigrew was. It could as well be that he named him after this like fallen hero kind of thing. And so and they're like, oh yeah, and they just assumed, oh yeah, he called him after like the guy who was supposed to be amazing that died.
Wow, okay.
I like that.
Yeah, okay. All right, okay. So Hermione's trying to like reason with Lupin. Brainiac to Brainiac. Let's think about this logically. No, the answer is no to this. Hermione's like, I have scholarship. My mouth struggled with that word. I don't have scholarship.
Hermione has receipts.
Hermione has, references. Like, she's like, per the registry of Animagi, he's not on there. The answer is no, he's not an... Because it never occurred to Hermione that one could do something like this outside of the rules.
I mean, to be fair, she says that there are only, like, what, 6?
Yeah.
There have been 7 this century.
Yeah.
This
it's a
century.
miracle that these kids pulled this off on their own.
Yeah.
And then, there's a bunch of they said it took them to their 5th year, so you expect me to believe that you have to be McGonagall level smart to figure this out. There's 7 people this century who have done this, and also 3 15-year-olds.
Yeah. Who, like, I know they're supposed to be clever, but if they can do it, probably a lot of adults can.
Yes.
And it sounds so cool that, like, wouldn't you learn to change this? I would.
I would, for sure. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
I want to be a bird.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what animal would everyone want to be if they could?
I want to be a parrot. I call a parrot.
I would pick a dog or like a mountain lion, like a pretty medium sized like mammal.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like being a dog is kind of where it's at.
Yeah, a dog.
Yeah.
Runs so fast, smells so good. Everybody's happy to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. A horse could be quite cool. Because then you can
I would be down to be a wolf.
A wolf?
Oh, wolf, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be a bird because I like flying. That's literally it.
And you
fair.
can travel as well.
I watch a lot of drone footage, and I feel like it would just be a great way to get your own drone footage.
You should be a hippogriff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
perfect.
Apparently, there's a dangerous profession in this world. There are
A profession of being a hippogriff.
there are government-assigned animal assassins in this world. Okay, like
I don't want to be a hippogriff until I know whether they have an anus or a cloaca.
Oh no,
I want that answer.
They have an anus. Because in the movie, Grace pointed this out to us when I raised this question. In the movie, the hippogriff takes a visible solid shit.
Okay, all right.
So that's a butthole right there.
I could live with still having a butthole. I don't know why, but I really don't want a cloaca.
It's too foreign.
It's
Can't get down.
I learned what that was like in my early 20s, and I was like, oh, I hate knowing that.
I learned what it was from reading the fucking Guardians of Ga'Hoole series.
I learned what it was from watching The Strain. The vampires in The Strain have cloacas.
Can I learn what it is today?
It's
Yes.
I'm so sorry about this. So birds and reptiles, and I believe also fish, don't
Not
have
hippogriff.
don't have like a separate urethra and butthole open. They just have one opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One-stop shop.
Yeah, it's
it's also
one-stop
a
shop.
sexual organ, isn't it?
Is it? I don't.
I genuinely don't know.
I don't go out looking for information on cloacas.
From what I have heard, it is also in females. It is also serves as a vagina.
Interesting.
I mean, that would make sense because birds, when they poo, it's just like they don't wee and poo. They just go.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Guardians of Ga'Hoole book series, which I do recommend if you like middle grade adventure, so they're all like owls. So they yarp, right? They like cough up pellets of like their food waste, which you may have dissected in a high school biology class, like a pellet. And they like hate all the other birds, and they call them wet poopers. Okay, I love middle grade books. Wow,
I'm just imagining including that intentionally.
So Lupin's still just going. We get the Sirius Black. I've waited 12 years. Not exactly the movie line, but close. Okay, so the door opens in the middle of their conversation.
I will say real quick, the him being like, I've waited 12 years, I'm not gonna wait much longer, is perhaps the most British thing. Because if Sirius Black was American, Jade, I'd love your opinion on this. If Sirius Black was American, he would have been like, nah, dude, fuck off. Like, I'm doing this.
I want this motherfucker dead 10 minutes ago.
Only a Brit would step back and be like, I've waited quite a long time. I can only give you a mere 15 minutes longer.
That is like big Bilbo vibes. Like a statement like that is like so something you would read in the narrative of The Hobbit, which Haley and Brooke and I think on last week's episode of Tolkien About, we covered The Hobbit, and I do definitely like picture him saying that.
It just makes me
narrative.
It makes me think of Arthur Dent in Hitchhiker's
Yeah.
Guide to the Galaxy, where he's like, I'm British, I know how to queue. Everyone follow me.
Arthur Dent is like the quintessential British person, but also as well, like, we really are like that. Like, it's not even, I mean, maybe he's like top tier kind of Brit, but like, we are so like that. Yeah, I love a good cue, definitely. And also, Brooke, I definitely agree. Like, that to me wasn't like a strange line, but it's like, oh yeah, of course. And I'm fuming about something. When I've been locked in prison for many, many years, I will give my friends, despite wanting to murder someone right at that point, I will give my friend 5 minutes to explain the plot to some teenagers.
It also helps with the drama factor. You gotta, the drama. Okay, so the next thing that happens is the door just opens. And no one is very concerned about this in a way. I mean, surely, if you know there's an invisibility cloak afoot, you would be like, someone has entered this room under the invisibility cloak. Like, doors don't just open like that. Why aren't they worried? Whatever, dude.
Like, honestly, because we know this is Snape. Like,
It's
this
fucking
is Snape.
Snape!
And, like, so, you know, not to get into the next chapter at all, but, like, from this point forward, he's standing here listening to the whole story.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. And then he's still afterwards is like, yep, gonna get you sent back to fucking Azkaban, get the Dementor's kiss. I don't give a shit. Like,
okay, you know how when you're talking to someone and you can tell that they are not listening to you, they're just waiting for what they get to say next. Snape is not listening to the content of this tale. He's just waiting for the perfect moment to reveal himself.
And I understand that, like, being a wizard, he is all about the drama, as we've established. But, like, just, you're standing right there, dude. Like, they are talking about, like, important background shit that, like, just, it's legally relevant.
Yeah, legally wrong.
This is honestly, like, this scene is kind of what makes me hate Snape. Like, up until this point, I'm like, all right, you're kind of an asshole and you're, like, mean to children, but, like, all right, whatever, you have honorable intentions. The end of book 3 is where all of that goes completely out the window.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I like the thought of him being, when you were saying about him waiting for the moment to reveal himself, it just gave me the image of him being under the invisibility cloak, being like, oh, it's now the time? Is now the time? Being like super excited to be like...
Almost like Jade is doing some body language right now that looks like she's trying to figure out how to jump into a jump rope, you know? Like,
yeah.
She's like, okay, what? Okay, and now, okay, wait, next time. Okay, go. It's not like they're just like, shut the door, keep going. They're like, weird. That shouldn't happen. I spent a lot of time in this house and the doors don't just open like that. And Ron, I think, is like, well, ghosts. And Lupin's like, dude, there's no fucking ghosts here. I'm trying to tell you that there's no ghosts. Whatever. They don't care that someone is evidently in this room with them. Whatever. Okay. Lupin starts telling his story. He's like, I'm a werewolf.
I have a linguistic issue with the way that this is introduced.
Okay.
So, like, it's a little victim blamey because he starts off saying, like, I was a very small boy when I received the bite, as though someone offered it to him, and he was like, yeah, okay, that sounds right. It's like someone gave it to him in a little gift box.
Someone rolled up in like an unmarked white van, like, hey, little boy, you want to be a werewolf?
Yeah, it is, like, extremely passive voice, because it didn't even say, like, was bitten, received the bite. He's like a dapper gentleman, dude. He's a gentleman and a scholar. Like, he uses polite language. He's like, you know, I twas bitten.
Right, but, like, still, I mean,
I'm with you. I would have
receive
I would
it.
have been like, yeah, I was a little boy when I got fucking attacked, and my life was ruined forever.
When I was brutally attacked by a werewolf.
Yeah, when I was absolutely savaged by a monster of the night.
He has so much shame, though, doesn't he? Throughout, like,
Yes.
I hadn't really thought about it till you said that about victim blaming, and like throughout all the books, he's got so much shame about being a werewolf, like the fact that he like tries to leave his family for a bit and stuff like that.
And I'm sure we've all heard, you know, I don't know if J.K. Rowling has supported, if Voldemort has like supported this, or if this is just like a common interpretation that like Lupin's story is an allegory for AIDS, right? And definitely the way in which he's like describing his story here does have like big AIDS vibes. Sounds really bad, but you know what I mean though. It's like he's, you know, he puts the blame on himself, you know, he deflects it from the person who like gave this condition to him in a gift box. Yeah, he experiences a lot of shame. He tries to protect his family from it. He tries to not like marry and find love because he's like, I'm like ruined, you know, like I'm dangerous. So the allegory there is strong. And also, he's talking about how when he was a kid, there was no treatment for it. So he just had to suffer. And that too is like part of like the AIDS story, is that like treatment for its symptoms has gotten like so much better in recent years. So anyway, so now there's a potion called the Wolfsbane potion. Which makes it so that he's just like a cute little wolf that we can snuggle with. And that is like, those are the circumstances under which he was allowed to come teach at Hogwarts, is that there's this way to make him like a non-issue. But the trick is you gotta take it. God, imagine being a werewolf with ADHD, dude, and being like, I gotta take my medicine, the entire school's at risk.
Imagine just being like any person. Like back when I was taking like birth control pills, I could barely, man. Like my ability, I tried to start taking vitamins every morning. I have had the bottle of vitamins now for 4 months.
Sounds about right.
The 130-month supply bottle of vitamins. Because I can't remember.
No, I've got like a reminder on my phone and one of those little like weekly pill thing whatevers that like to remember to take like my one medication, and I forget it twice a week minimum.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like I would have to do the same. I'd have to like put a little note on my phone, but like in some ways, the wizards and their world, the wizarding world, is so advanced. And in other ways, they're like the Victorian times. It's ridiculous. Like, imagine meeting like one of these characters and being like, you don't have a phone. Like, what? You don't have the internet? What? I know this is the 90s, but still, I had a computer. Our family had a computer.
You know what he uses as a rememberall?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
As he's turning into like a werewolf. Shit.
Well, what am I forgetting? Was it, was there supposed to be a quiz tomorrow? Am I supposed to be grading something? I know what is it?
I will say there's a lot of like transfiguration options, I think, here, although maybe not ethical, to turn like a parrot into alarm clock where you could have it still say things to you when it knew it was time.
That would be cool.
So Lupin is just like describing like how he came to Hogwarts as a kid. He's like, yeah, we like built the tunnel, like, you know, the Whomping Willow tunnel for me. That was built for me.
Like the Whomping Willow was planted because of me.
Which, like, what a great project for one student. That, you know what I mean? Like, that was some digging. Who did that?
Hagrid.
He's too big. The tunnel barely fits the kids. Did you guys read Artemis Fowl?
Yes.
I did not.
A long time ago. I think they're dwarves in the books who are diggers. They unhinge their jaws and they chomp the dirt and they just like immediately shit it out behind them, and that's how they like burrow. And that's what I'm envisioning. That's who made this tunnel. Wow. Frightened squeaking from Scabbers. He's just like talking. He really is just like, wow, I haven't been able to talk to anyone about being a werewolf. So I'm going to tell you everything I've been feeling for the past 12 years. He's like, it's really bad. It like felt bad.
I will say the utter brutality of him being like, hey, when I'm a werewolf, my like natural inclination is to scratch and bite people. And if there aren't people there, I just do that to myself.
Oh my God, dude.
Like, yikes.
Brutal,
yeah. There's a lot of parallels with, between, I think we've mentioned this before, between, Professor Lupin and fucking Bruce Banner, dude. Just, like, the most gentle, scholarly men are, like, these, brutal monsters. And it's like, the juxtaposition is, like, so nightmarish.
Yeah, it's
for
that
them.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde shit.
Yeah. And also, they're both introverts. And it's, like, probably such a nightmare to be, like... Oh, sorry, I was like a rabid monster last night who like murdered your like just don't look at me now though, like
That's just me at parties when there's moonshine available.
Ooh, I bought a bottle of that yesterday.
Oh, don't tell me that.
No, I'm telling you that. I love it. It's so good.
Does that sound perfectly American that we're all like, oh yeah, the moonshine thing?
Yeah. I'm imagining it in one of those bottles, like, you know, like Ketus from The Simpsons.
Oh, dude, I wish.
So what is that? What is your, like, the moonshine you brought a bottle of? Is it?
It's like legal moonshine. It's
okay.
I don't even know what kind of liquor it is. It's like moonshine is like a kind of liquor.
It's distilled from corn?
Question
So it's
mark?
like tequila adjacent.
It's
Well,
strong
tequila's
the way
made from
tequila's
agave.
strong.
Oh, I don't know anything about liquor.
I mean,
God damn it, that Brooke knows more about liquor than
No,
me.
I only know this because they gave a presentation at my work at one point. But it's like it's a high proof alcohol distilled from, I believe, corn.
Cool.
So that's what makes it different from other grain
just-
alcohols.
It's just different. So I bet the Honey Habanero. Well, that's my plug this week. Belle Isle Moonshine.
Belle Isle moonshine. In college, though, people would show up to parties with just like sketchy ass mason jars full of like. Oh yeah, no. I went to JMU, so I was in the Shenandoah.
I am agreeing with you, but saying like no, thank you.
Oh yeah, everyone did apple pie flavored moonshine.
Oh my
in
god,
college.
yes, yes. Who the hell used to bring around moonshine? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Yes, completely. Okay, alright, so Lupin's, okay, guess what? He's still monologuing. He's like, okay, well, obviously my three best friends noticed that I was a werewolf, and I thought they were gonna hate me, but because they were fucking 12-year-old boys, they were just like, oh, that's so metal, like, we're bester friends for life now. I want to be involved with this. So they figured out how to become animagi.
I love, like, usually monologues, you know, they're so boring, but like, this whole chapter is like a twist done really well, because like a really good twist tells you, like, recontextualizes everything that you've known up to this point and like changes all of it. So like we know about James Potter. We know a little bit. We know that he played Quidditch. We know that he and Snape had a thing. But like, we don't really know anything about him as a person. Yeah. So
spoiler
now
alert, he was a jackass.
He was kind of a jackass. But like, now we're learning about like, oh, now we've got a guy who it was a kid with best friends who like would do anything for them. So now we're seeing James and Sirius, and we're kind of like, you know, you can't help but think about Harry and Ron.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden he's a real person who had like a backstory.
Yeah. Absolutely. The reason they became animagi is because a werewolf doesn't give a shit about animals. Werewolves only give a shit about humans. They're like, human blood, want to bite. But so because they're animals, they could like play with him, keep him in check. They're like, Peter learned to become a rat so that he could press the button. And I'm like, I would never make that choice. There's other ways to press the button.
Well, can you choose what animal you turn into?
Oh, interesting, because otherwise people would pick stupid ass animals.
No, because like I can totally imagine like someone being like, I'm gonna be a platypus,
or like a dragon in this universe, which is like so impractical. Well, you can't choose your Patronus, and I think to our knowledge, James's Patronus was a stag. Do we know anything about Lupin would not have a werewolf Patronus, but like, but
That would be badass, though.
it would. Like his own dark self is his Patronus. Do we ever see Black's Patronus or Pettigrew's Patronus?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So there may be something to that.
I don't know if we ever actively see Lupin's Patronus, but Tonks's Patronus becomes a wolf when, like, she and he are having their thing. So I don't know if that's just because that, like, she was just having wolfy vibes in her heart, or if her Patronus took on the same shape as Lupin's Patronus.
Yeah, and I'm just, like, rolling my eyes so hard that it hurts my head right now, because I'm also remembering that Snape's Patronus is a doe, because he's a dodo.
The rat thing being an explanation for pressing the button really points out the flaws of the entire system that's been devised here.
Yes.
Because if someone needs to transfigure themselves in order to get to the button, how is Lupin ever supposed to fucking do that like 10 minutes before he transformed into a werewolf?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've talked about maybe Madame Pomfrey, like, escorted him to the tunnel, so maybe she used fucking magic to do so. It's, like, not nearly an infallible enough plan, dude.
It's not even remotely efficient in any conceivable way. It's a wizard plan. It's the only criteria is it dramatic? Secret tunnel, pretty dramatic.
It's a loophole that I only really noted, or like a flaw in the thing that I only noticed when I reread it for this. And I was like, wait a second, how did Lupin ever get in there before? And I thought the same. And I assumed the same, that someone like escorted him down, like a teacher or something. But yeah.
They say that Pomfrey's there, but then also that brings up the, like, did Pomfrey just, like, not notice that he started turning up with a deer and a dog and a rat?
I don't know if maybe eventually she was like, oh, you can, like, walk yourself because it's been, like, 2 years and, like, you're a man now and, like, you got this. I don't know, man. Because it took them until 5th year to make it happen. So 5 years of escorting this, because she probably was like, dude, you're, like, top in your grade. Like, you got this. I don't know.
It's just crazy that in a series where there's magic, the answer to your problems is so rarely magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Lupin's like, yeah, we used to, like, run around the grounds, like, loose. And Hermione's like, that's really dangerous. And Lupin's like, I'm an adult now and I understand that. I just like when I'm like, wow, I did so much cocaine in college. And it's like, I'm an adult now. I understand that wasn't great for me, but it's a fact of my life.
I think that a lot about my, like, travel choices when I was younger.
Oh,
I'm glad I traveled when I was younger, because I would not make the same choices now, and I wouldn't have the same experiences, because just, like, I have things to live for now in a way that I just didn't when I was 23.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So then Lupin's like, I've been racked with guilt this whole year because Brooke, we've talked about this at length. He should have told Dumbledore that Sirius Black was an animagus. And the reason he didn't is because he didn't want to confront his own guilt for having betrayed Dumbledore's trust as a child, which to me, I would be so willing to be like, hey, I used to be terrible. I used to be terrible. And now I'm an adult human with a good emotion. Like, I have guilt now, and I'm, like, resolving all of this by telling you the truth.
I do have one question about the poor choices. Because he says there were many near misses, and everyone just kind of goes, oh, okay, yeah. That's gonna happen.
What does that mean?
I want to know those stories for sure.
Did the boys, like, find him, like, with his mouth around, like, a kid's neck, just, like, so close?
Drop it!
And then no one ever said, like, no one else ever was like, oh, there's a werewolf running around the school.
Right! I was honestly thinking about, oh, God. So, in Twilight, when, like, the first time in the book series that Bella hunts as a vampire, they're, like, hunting animals, and everyone's like, yeah, this is good. And then, like, the wind changes, and it's like, oh, I smell a person, and she just, like, reroutes, and they're all like, we have to get in front of her and, like, break her concentration so that she doesn't kill somebody. And I am imagining that kind of scenario where it's just, like, they have to, like, get in front of him and distract him. But yeah, regardless, there's
Here, buddy,
again,
get the stick, get the stick, get the stick.
right. Like, what entices a werewolf? You know what I mean?
And then, oh my god, wait. I told myself that I wasn't going to bring up Wolfstar until the end of this episode as dessert, but imagine them playing tug. Oh, it's so cute.
I can absolutely see, like, either James or Sirius, but mostly James, like, untransforming, like, turning back into a human and, like, using himself as bait if Lupin ever got, like, too close to other people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then being like, shh, and switching back, like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden. Yeah, that's a good point. But that made me think, when you say about them playing tug, it made me think of, I know you mentioned it before, but just that line when he says about curling up in his office as a harmless wolf, I was like, oh, I just want to, like,
Just wanna
curl up
spoon
next
you.
to him and give him a stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Just want to spoon you, dude.
Give him a little blankie, make him pot of tea, get him cozy.
So Lupin's like, Snape's been right about me all along. Sirius Black is like, why in fuck are we talking about Snape? Because I really think that Sirius Black has not spent much time in the castle, obviously. He has to break in, and I don't think Snape comes out of the castle. You know what I mean? He's not like an outdoor boy. He's in the dungeons. So, like, Sirius Black has no idea that Snape's been teaching here this whole time.
It's all of the other teachers have, like, a margarita night, like the teachers in Bob's Burgers, and
Yes!
Snape is like Mr. Front. They just actively keep him away.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Although, and this is puts a spanner in the works of Sirius not noticing Snape. Wasn't Snape, and I might be wrong because I just reread our chapter and the chapters around it, but wasn't Snape, was he a ref for the Quidditch?
That's in the first book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he probably would have gone to Quidditch. I mean,
Yeah.
Slytherin played Gryffindor in the House Cup, so Snape was at that. That's a
have
good
been
But
point.
that was,
Yeah.
okay, so the Quidditch match that Sirius turned up to watch as a dog was the one that was in the pouring rain, so he wouldn't have seen anybody.
He wouldn't have seen anyone,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good point, yeah.
Also, as hard as it is to think of Snape reproducing, don't parents sometimes come to Quidditch games?
Oh, true.
Or is that a movie memory?
I think that's a movie memory, but I wouldn't be surprised.
The only
Yeah.
parent that we see at a Quidditch match is Lucius Malfoy, who is on the board of governors. So he probably has, like, additional pull, and, like, and especially in Chamber of Secrets, he was, like, lingering around the school because he was like, evil's afoot, and I love it. Sirius Black is like, why are you even talking about Snape? Lupin says he's here, not knowing how deeply true that statement is. He's here. He's right here. No, he's at the school. He teaches at the school. And, yeah, so, he tells us what we already kind of knew, that Snape fought very hard against Lupin getting that job. And then they're like, they're talking shit about Snape.
Well, we finally get the story of the prank.
Yeah, hilarious prank. Really funny stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very YouTube level prank of,
Yeah.
like, hitting someone full force in the back of the head and being like, I pranked you, bro.
Oh no, there, like, I guarantee you 100% that there is definitely a whole genre of Marauders YouTuber AU fanfictions. I'm 100% sure of that. I haven't read any, but
We
I
don't
know
have to
they
check,
exist.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to check.
All right, but, like, talk me through this prank, because I'm kind of confused, honestly.
Okay, probably what happened is Snape did something that made James really mad. Because James was quick to anger and lash out.
Well, it says that Snape was sneaking around.
Well,
I got the impression that maybe he was, like,
Well, it was
trying
Sirius
to...
that played this prank.
oh, shit, okay. Okay. Well, he was, I feel like James was like an active raging jackass, but Sirius Black was like an aloof jackass, you know
Sirius,
what I mean?
like, Sirius, keep in mind, like, who raised Sirius? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, just a whole family of supervillains. So, like, yeah, Severus is sneaking around and, like, trying to get in their business, and I can absolutely see Sirius being like, hey, bro, you know what would be absolutely hilarious? You know how you're gonna get the answers to all of your questions if you just follow Remus down this tunnel. I
Yeah.
promise it's gonna be worth the walk.
Yeah, literally, I feel like Snape was like, dude, what's this tunnel? And Sirius was like, honestly, just go see, dude. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Just go fucking see.
But also, like, usually, and I must say, I'm not a prankster myself, but, like, with a prank, wouldn't you be like, if you're playing a prank, you have what the result of the prank would be. You have, like, an end goal. And like,
it's usually not, like, murder.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like, the only end goal was that he gets eaten by or at least bitten and becomes a werewolf himself. Like, it's a bad, like, result.
There's there's no way that this is just like, let's laugh and move on. Like, this doesn't end that way.
A Snape wolf would be the worst.
Yeah.
Like, that would be... I feel like... I truly believe that if Snape were to be a werewolf, he would be even worse than a Fenrir Greyback.
He would be insufferable. He would be an insufferable person.
He would be like fucking Scar from The Lion King, but like werewolf status. Like, man, like, I need you to stop complaining for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But James gets in the way of said prank.
James goes full Gryffindor and is like, no, I'm the hero now, and pulls Snape back literally one step, it sounds like, before it's too late, because he can see Lupin at the end of the tunnel, and James, I mean, you almost think that there was a scene there where James had to, like, fight Lupin off and be like, Snape, run, because, like, there's no way that they were that close to each other and Lupin wasn't like, human, I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just wandered down the corridor.
It was definitely an extremely malicious prank.
I just still think it was not a
prank.
I'm gonna vote not a prank.
Honestly, I've always thought that Sirius Black would have done well in Slytherin. You know, he just, like, it's just because he has, like, really self-serving vibes, and, like, yeah, he's like, you know what? I frankly don't care if you die today.
He's capable
Please go.
No, Sirius is definitely more capable and willing to be ruthless than most of the Gryffindors we meet.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, like, that's probably why when all this shit went down as adults with Peter, everyone was like, oh, yeah, Sirius Black turned out to be a murderer? That tracks.
Yeah, that tracks. Absolutely. Yeah, so Harry's like, okay, so that's why Snape doesn't like you, because of this joke, basically. And then Snape's like, that's right, and dramatically takes his cloak off, and he's pointing his wand at Lupin. And that's the end of the chapter.
Yep.
He's like waiting for the moment.
He's been waiting for a few pages.
Yeah, definitely.
But he gets it.
I know before you were saying that, like, oh yeah, he's like waiting. He's not listening, he's waiting. But surely he heard that. And like, I always think when Sirius and James seem like utter pricks, really, when they were kids. And Snape seems like a bit insular, but not like a dick, basically. He seems like a dick as an adult. But you would think, like, he would at least, if everyone, it's just that everyone's always like, oh no, Snape, he might have been a bit mean, but he was good. But it's like, clearly he wasn't. Like, he's just listening to all of this, and he still fucked up their plan.
Yeah, it's evident, like, throughout this next chapter that Snape went into the scene thinking it was going to go a certain way, and, like, nothing was going to derail him from, like, his grand plan. Yeah, I'm sure he was like, I'm gonna save the day. I'm gonna turn these bad guys in, you know, and, like, I'm gonna get Lupin out of here in the process.
Mostly, I'm finally gonna get revenge on my high school bullies.
Exactly, yeah.
Man, I just, like, as an adult now, like, I just don't care.
I just would never.
Yeah.
Like,
my high school bullies were coming up to me at my fucking reunion, and I was just like, hey, oh my god, look at you. You're, like, a whole nice person now. Like, I'm so proud of you. Way to go.
But, like, think about wizard society. Like, it's so insular that you've got, like, it's almost like a small town unto itself. Like, you go to high school with people, and then you're just stuck with them for the rest of your life. Like, I barely talk to anyone that I went to school with anymore. Because I've lived in the world. Like, I have a whole wide world of people and places and things. And wizards are just like, I have wizards and wizards, and that's all I'm gonna talk to.
Yeah, it is very limiting.
Yeah, they always end up with their childhood sweethearts as well, and like
it's like
which like
they're
as
very...
a lifestyle choice, I don't recommend that.
No, like,
generally,
no, like Wizard Society really does feel like a small town. So like, yeah, if you're in a small town environment, like you're just constantly being confronted with your shitty high school bullies, then like, yeah, the grudge is gonna stay alive.
Which, yeah, we got other stuff going on. We can't worry about our high school bullies.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
But like, even if you're like still dealing with them, whatever, like they have had a break from each other now for 12 years.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine carrying that hate in my heart. For
Snape's
that
a petty
long.
bitch, dude.
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
fully right. I don't think Snape is in any way justified in his behavior here. I just like, I understand how he could possibly have maintained this grudge for this long, but also like let it go, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, also, you know, I'm the last person to defend Snape, but he probably experienced, like, genuine trauma as a kid. I mean, like, the one scene that we get to see in a couple books where James, like, turned him upside down and showed the school his underwear, that's genuinely traumatizing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that Lupin being at the school was probably the easiest way Snape was going to be re-exposed to the Marauders, but I think it's probably been really hard for him. He's probably been dealing with some, like, memories this whole year, and then seeing Sirius Black in particular probably is really triggering to him.
But then also he just never chooses, like, the high road, ever.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true. I'm the last person to defend him.
Yeah, no,
but-
like, over and, like, there are so many things where I'm like, I can understand this on a logical level, but also, like, you're still making the wrong choices over and over and over.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I will still give to Snape at this particular moment in time is that though we have had much talk of the fact that this is Peter Pettigrew and we got a lot of background story on their childhood and stuff, what we have still not covered at this point is we have not actually seen Peter Pettigrew not be a rat.
Yes.
And we haven't actually gotten to the story of what the fuck happened
Right.
when
right.
they got confronted.
We don't yet have the actual this whole chapter was, like, the preface to the explanation.
Yeah.
So, like, Snape's not inherently wrong here for being like, you're going back to jail, bitch.
Well,
like,
and you have to remember that he does come here as, like, some kind of a performative thing to, like, confront his high school bully, save the day. But, like, he also is like, I'm going to protect these students who go to my school. And in the movie, I think in particular, that's made really clear, especially when Lupin starts transforming. Snape bodily protects them. And I respect that as well.
But I feel like that was more directing and acting from,
Alan Rickman.
because, like,
That's the thing. Everything that's sympathetic about that man is
like,
just Alan Rickman.
Because
Yeah,
Snape,
exactly.
Snape in the book, like, he is really not here for the kids. Like, he is 100% here for selfish
what?
reasons.
For
like,
selfish
what is
reasons.
he here
For
for?
revenge. He's just here for revenge.
Revengerine, revengerine, revengerine.
And, like, yeah, okay, they haven't covered, like, the whole, you know, what actually went down with the betrayal and everything, but there's obviously more to this story than the world has ever known, and, like, in the ensuing scene in the next chapter, does he listen to the rest of the story? Does he even entertain the idea that maybe it'll make a difference? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, it is also worth noting that the scene I just described where Alan Rickman is protecting adorable children, in the book, he's unconscious during that. So.
Yeah.
So it, you know, that he has no opportunity to do anything differently. So before we wrap it up today, I do really need us to talk about Wolfstar.
You'll have to give an intro to that.
Wolfstar is the shipment of Lupin and Sirius Black as a couple.
Yeah.
Because Wolf and then Sirius is a star in the sky. And, like, you know, that's one of those things. Okay, like, it's like Wolfstar and Drary are, like, the two ships that, like, I've never really entertained in any seriousness before, that on this rereading, it's like, especially, okay, Draco and Harry's, like, next level evidence everywhere that they just so want to make out. I think, like, framing, like, this scene and other scenes where Lupin and Black interact as, like, imagine that they were romantic in high school, and this is, like, the first time.
They, like, I think it's only a movie line where Snape refers to them as bickering like an old married couple, but they really do bicker like an old married couple, and I love it.
Yeah.
So here's my only thing. is that I don't think in literature we get enough true male friendships represented in a way that is
Totally.
like endearing and, you know,
We've had the same conversation about Frodo and Sam a lot.
right. And so like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I like on some regards I can see it, but on the other hand, I really do like that this is just like an incredibly emotionally involved and very, very strong male friendship that is like supportive and touching, and you know, they're not afraid to be really intimate with each other.
Yeah.
And I like that better than them having a romantic undertone.
They can both exist. You know, it's the exact same way to me when I read Lord of the Rings, where I'm like, this is gay as hell. And I'm like, you know what? I know that they're probably just friends, but like, it's fun to think about how fucking gay this is, you know?
I mean, I love Sirius and Remus's dynamic no matter what. Just I love that character dynamic of just like
definitely.
the very energetic, like impulsive bad boy and like the quiet, gentle friend who's like kind of holding him back, but like not really, but kind of holding him back. And like so, you know, it doesn't really matter to me either way, but like I do think it would be hot if they banged.
I think that dynamic you just described is very hot, basically. But I think with these two characters, I just see it as nice as it would be if there was something else. I think it is just a really nicely described male friendship, and like it's good to see actually with quite a few of the male friendships, like Harry and Ron actually being like sensitive to each other. I know there's times that they are not, but do you know what I mean? Like generally, and that's quite nice because it's like, you know, rare that you read that.
Yeah. And in this chapter, you know, one thing I do really like about their reunion, you know, is that I think that it's a really familiar kind of reunion. You can tell that as soon as they start talking to each other, they're like, I fucking know you, dude. Like, you are exactly the same. Yeah, you have 12 years of trauma for being wrongfully imprisoned. Yeah, you wear sweater vests now because you're a teacher. But they immediately pick up with that banter. You know, they're bickering. You know, you can tell from their dialogue with each other that they are very old friends.
Yeah,
and
like Sirius would not be restraining himself for anyone else.
Yeah, and I love, you know, whether or not they're gay, you know, I really prefer, they always said Sirius Black and James Potter, you'd never see one of them without the other, best friends for life. And it's like, I hate James Potter, like as a character he's a jackass, so I much prefer in my head just being like, people said that because James and Sirius were loud together, but I love Sirius preferring Lupin because Lupin brings out a better side of him than James does.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you bumped into like James and Sirius, it would be like, oh, it's like those two lads again, just gonna be like you can imagine them being in the back of their class just like really pissing you off and always be like, oh, I just can't wait till like it's a class with like Sirius and Lupin because at least Lupin will like calm him down, and all the teachers being like, those two are in class together. And
I feel like that is like a dynamic that you see in a lot of like teenage friend groups, and like I think it kind of is most obvious with teenage boys, where like you'll get a group of like boys who are all perfectly nice when on their own, and then there's like one boy in the group who just brings out the worst in all of them.
It's
and then
Drew.
they all
You're talking about Drew.
I mean, yeah, like there was a group of boys at my like itty bitty high school that was exactly like this, and like and it's just like the type of aggression that comes out is kind of unique to, I think, teenage boys, but like you get the same shit with girls too, like don't get me wrong.
I know what you're talking about. It's like I would never have approached a group of jocks in my high school, but if one of them approached me, I would be like almost like I would never approach a group of bears. But if there's just one, I'd be like, hey bud, what's up, you okay, can I help you? Just kidding, don't approach bears, for the love of God.
We were just talking about this on our Discord server, which, you know, become a patron, join the Discord server, it's a fun time. But like, we were just talking about not approaching bears on the Discord server because it's a real thing. I've seen a mom walk her 4-year-old up to a bear in the wild, being like, let's try to take a look at it, just because people are dumb.
Terrible idea.
At the park next to my house, people bring their babies to feed the geese. And I'm like, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
That
Geese are
goose has
brutal.
drawn blood from my dog, dude. It was me. I was using him as a shield. It didn't work. They're not afraid of pit bulls.
So what you're saying is use a baby as a shield to get away from geese. You heard it here first, folks.
The official restricted section stance. The best goose shield is babies.
Imagine seeing that there's like a sign, a little yellow or orange sign that's like, don't feed the geese or whatever. But imagine one next to it that was like a pictorial image of like throw your baby at the geese.
It's like the hieroglyphics from the Prince of Egypt, just like flinging a baby into the pond.
Oh my god, how dare you invoke the Prince of Egypt right now? Wow. All right, cool. Well, let's move on to some plugs. Brooke, will you please go first?
Yeah, I am Brooke Matherly. You can find me on Instagram at Passion4Parks. You can find me on Twitter at GrumpyBrooke. And I'm literally looking around my room for something to plug, like someone making up a name in a sitcom. I just finished reading a book that was very interesting. I don't know that it's particularly like for our user base, but it was called The Coddling of the American Mind, which is a more inflammatory title than the content of the book. But it was basically using cognitive behavioral therapy approaches to address the way that we raise children, because the way that we are raising children in America right now is giving them anxiety, and it's skyrocketing depression and suicide attempts.
Wow, I have noticed that in America that everyone is anxious and depressed.
Yeah, basically the authors are saying that it's better to let your kids microdose fear. Like, let them get themselves into minor danger, and it will make them more resilient people. Yeah. The more controversial part of it is it kind of ties it into the way that a lot of campuses are, in the author's mind, mishandling a lot of the social issues that we're dealing with today.
Oh, yeah.
So,
wow.
Anyhow, it was. I thought it was interesting. I checked it out on my public library. Go to your public library. It's called The Coddling of the American Mind.
Cool. Thank you so much.
I feel like that would be like relatable in like countries like the UK as well. Like I feel there would be a lot of similarities to the way kids are raised and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Haley, what about you?
I'm gonna be annoying. I am going to plug getting the vaccine if you can get the vaccine. I have seen a lot of people talking about like, well, I was eligible, but I don't know, there's other people who need it more than me. Like, I'm young.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
That is not how any of this works. I'm a big bitch baby. I don't like needles. I got the first. I am a big bitch baby. I really don't like needles. I got the first jab last week. It's fine. It's fine. It's like my arm hurt for a day, and then I was all right. Just get it if you can, as soon as you can.
Yeah,
that's my plug.
Follow Haley on Twitter at @TheRitTwit.
Haley, you're good on Twitter. Just let people follow you.
Being good on Twitter is not a brag, because Twitter is inherently bad.
Okay, but get this. It is a brag because people fucking look for that shit on your resume, so...
What?
Yeah, people like to know you're good at social media for the kind of jobs that this group applies to.
Oh, yes. I thought you were being specifically good at Twitter, and I was like, God, I hope my job doesn't read my Twitter.
Jade, what about you?
Cool. Well, I will definitely say as well, the vaccine. I had mine as well, my first one, and I had the similar thing where I got called up for my vaccine, and I actually don't know why, because I'm not in the age range, I haven't got any underlying issues in the way the UK are doing it.
Well, what's happening is that people who are eligible are refusing it. So, and like once they defrost it, they have to use it or it goes to waste. So like,
yeah,
that's why they're making it more available to more people.
So my boss is in the States, and the way they're rolling it out is a little bit different, like here to in the States, just in terms of like the groups of people. So yeah, you're completely right, but I'm still like nowhere. Like they were going through like people in their 50s, so it's like weird they didn't reach out to someone in their 40s. Anyway, I got asked to do it, and I had a similar thing where I was like, should I do it? Should I you know, I will obviously wanted the vaccine, but I was like, oh, I feel guilty. I feel like survivor's guilt to go and get it. But I went and there was no one there. Well, there was barely anyone there. So it was like, you're right, like go and get it, because even if you feel like, oh, I should let someone else get it first. Like you say, when they defrosted, they go off. So
yeah,
go along.
like just do it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
And you're protecting the people who need it more than you by being fucking vaccinated around them.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I wanted to add on to that as well for anyone that's listening in the UK, to push them as well. But then also, so my social medias, I can never remember which handle is which, but basically, if you search Jade Gebbie, I think there's like one other Jade Gebbie in the world as far as Facebook shows.
How dare she?
If you search her,
we will link your account in the show notes.
Yeah, one's like J Gebbie, one's J Geb, so it's gonna be a variation on J and Gebbie. And so follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and then if you do shortly, me and some friends are making like a audio sketch show, so it's in the process of being edited at the moment. So if you follow me, you can listen to that.
Awesome.
Hell
That's
yeah.
so cool. And have you been reading, playing, watching anything cool recently?
The thing that I've been watching, actually, that I've got massively into is a show on Netflix called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's so good. I became absolutely obsessed with it. But it's cool that all of you love it, because I don't know if it's just not as popular over here, but I've only met like one person who is the person that recommended me watch it, and me and her are obsessed with it, but I haven't like found anyone else. So it's good to know that there's other people into it, and I absolutely love that show. I love musicals, and it's really funny. It's like the show I wish I had written. It's so good.
Awesome. Hell yeah. I've been your host, Christina. You can follow me on Instagram at Your Girl of the World. You can follow me on Twitter at Christina Khan. You can follow me on TikTok at Sprouts Private Stash. This week I'm going to plug, honestly, because we mentioned it earlier, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The book's great. The movie's great. They're different from each other. So, you know, don't expect the movie to perfectly resemble the book. It's not going to, but it carries the same, like, tongue-in-cheek, like, dry British humor and, like, vaguely sci-fi vibes, but, like, mostly just, like, mundane British humor, honestly, like, but in space. Alan Rickman, fucking the most British man in the world. Oh my god, I'm brain farting. What's his name?
Martin Freeman.
Yes, him. I recommend the book and the movie separately and together. They're excellent. Cool. Jade, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, and this was such a unique chapter in that literally nothing happened. It's like all backstory, and so I really appreciate your coming on to help us sort of parse it out and get to the bottom of things.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and Haley, Brooke, thank you as always, my right-hand women.
I guess I'm just here for whenever you need me.
You are most welcome.
Put me back in storage when you're done.
All right. Until next time, gang, get out of the Shrieking Shack. It's very scary in there, and there's just, it's really complicated. I just hope they get out fine. They do technically get out fine, spoilers, but it's not. It's just, so much is yet to come. Anyway, goodbye. And that's the end of the show.
Listen, we didn't want to be half-bloods.
If you're listening to this because you think you might be one, our advice, stop listening to this podcast right now.
Percy Jackson had the right idea when he told people to stop reading the books detailing his adventures as a half-blood.
But we didn't listen to his warnings.
And that's why we started this podcast, Of the Eldest Gods, where we read books written by Rick Riordan and talk about how they affected us as kids and continue to as semi-adults. You can find us every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you think we fooled them for a second there?
Gods, I hope not.
Bring on the monsters, we're making a podcast!
The Restricted Section was created and hosted by me, Christina Khan, based on the book series by J.K. Rowling. All music by Ryan Kahn. Logo by Michael Hardison. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at RestrictedSectionPod or shoot us an email at restrictedsectionpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, complaints, conspiracy theories, or lavish praise.
I once bought a lottery ticket that was Old Bay scented scratch and sniff.
That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.